the President may renominate the nominee on reasonable grounds. Order 15.7. Any nominee who at any time fails to hold 50% of the votes of the members present and voting may be renominated on reasonable grounds or may be withdrawn by the President. So, Mr. Minister, that's what the model standing orders direct us to do.
Thank you, Minister. It's a good time to take your questions. I have a hand at the back. Please take the microphone there. We'll take a first set of 4 and then get responses. Yes, madam.
General. Honorable Minister, please, I want to find out, even before the list has been presented today, there appears to be some tensions brewing in some parts of the country. Has intelligence been picked concerning this particular development, and what would government be doing about it after the list comes out, and then probably more of this will be coming up? Secondly, I also want to find out regarding the District Assembly's Common Fund. We know it has been delayed because of the fact that the list of MMDCEs are now coming out. How would its disbursement be done? Would the backlogs be cleared for the assemblies? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there other takers?
Well, good afternoon. My name is Paul Nyegedalafo. I report for Daily Statesman. Yeah, Honorable, you presented a list having to do with the MMDCs, and one would have expected that you make information available to us. How many of them are supposed to be our mothers in the MMDC positions, and how many MMDCs has been retained?
So you're asking whether there's data on the gender distribution?
Yes.
And data on how many
MMDCs retained
are new nominees?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, good afternoon, General. As an experienced politician, would you ascribe to the belief that Ghana's local government should be on universal adult suffrage? In fact, we tried it, but didn't succeed. Do you have to go back or still maintain the status quo? My second question is being believed that development in the local sectors have been as a result of the delaying announcement of MMDCs. Would you ascribe to that? Thank you.
So again, I didn't hear the second question well.
Development in the local areas have been delayed as a result of the names long in coming. Would you ascribe to that? Thank you.
Okay. Yes, is that GNA? Yes. So I'll take yours as the final for this batch.
Yeah, thank you. Honorable, my first question is, even before the nomination of the MMDCs, as my colleague rightly said, there has been tension and anxiety regarding the nomination. And some people have raised concerns that because of political interests of the party, MPP, in appointing people who will help the party retain power in 2024. That's why they are delaying, so that these people will help mobilizing the party at the grassroots level to win the 2024 election, not because they are development-oriented people who develop the districts. This is the concern, if you can react to that. Then, two, a member of the MPP, that is the Water Regional Chairman of the MPP, said because of the tension that has come up because of the delay, he is advising that
the desire to serve my people. Mr. President, who has the authority to make the nomination, has nominated a particular person. And I choose to be violent because I was not given the opportunity to serve my people. So far as I'm concerned, and so far as I think all well-meaning Ghanaians know, all that we do, those of us standing here, including Mr. President himself, and all those who aspire to positions of trust, is we are aspiring to serve our motherland. And if an opportunity is not given at a particular time for you to serve, there cannot be any reason whatsoever why there should be disturbances or you should behave disorderly because you wanted to serve the people and for this particular time you are not given the chance to do. So it should not be something that we should necessarily anticipate as if it's a matter of course. I think we should all be fair that if truly you wanted to serve, then there's absolutely no basis for you to be involved in any disorderly conduct. And I think we should all be very clear about that. DACF, no. We have not said anywhere that DAC, the release of common fund, had delayed because DCs were not in place. Please, and maybe this answers Mr. Minister the other one. There has not been any vacancy. I may want to admit that for about 6 or so MDCs who I know contested and won elections and came to parliament. Admittedly, those places you could say maybe there was a vacancy. But the rest, we have MDCs working in their assemblies. They are working in the assemblies. And the assemblies are functioning. So there cannot be any excuse that monies from the DACF were not released because we didn't have substantive district chief executive. Please, that is not the case. Release of monies of DACF, though not the desirable one, we all know it delays at times. But we cannot say that in this case it had delayed because we didn't have substantive MMDCs. Gender and nominees. For now, ladies and gentlemen, what we have here are nominees. Mr. President will issue appointment letters to these nominees after they have been confirmed by the various assemblies. After that, we may then be able to have a very good analysis of those who are retained, those who are new, and even the gender. But at least the nomination that we have, to the best of our knowledge, about 38 women have been nominated. And by the list, I have not done exhaustive analysis of it because it's been kept very tight. And so once it's been known now and it's going to get to the districts for the confirmation process, maybe after they finish, we'll be able to know the number of male women who have been confirmed as MDCs. Then we can do the analysis. But at least I've been told that the nomination that we have here, 38 women, and then we have 132 new nominees. Universal adult suffrage. We are all aware that the Constitutional Review Committee made some recommendations. Then in the manifesto of the New Patriotic Party, we were very certain that we wanted election and partisan elections for the assemblies. That has been our position. And indeed, Mr. President, in keeping to his word, he started the process of going through the constitutional provisions, the rule of parliament, and then finally leading to a referendum to amend the various sections of the Constitution. You are aware, we are all witness of what happened. The consensus that Mr. President thought that he had built towards that process. Finally, our opponents did not show commitment to that. But Mr. President felt that on the first major referendum that will lead to amending entrenched provisions of the Constitution, there should be consensus of that matter. So he decided to put a hold to that. In the manifesto of the New Patriotic Party 2020 manifesto, we did say that we'll do everything possible to build consensus towards that. And it was interesting to note that the Ministry of Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, we started that. Some civil society organizations have made presentations to us. We had committee to begin talking to people and see how best to build on what happened in the first term of Mr. President. And maybe, Mr. Minister for Information, I may want to add that to the other aspect of political interest. There are jurisdictions where election to the local authority level are partisan. There are countries in Africa where the elections are partisan. And please let us understand, when we say something is partisan, it doesn't mean that we don't have capable people in the political parties. So, if the case is that all the people who have been appointed are New Patriotic Party members, so be it. But we have more than capable and committed people in the service of this country in the party. And I want to believe in other parties too. So even if all the people belong to a particular party, it doesn't mean that they are not committed and they are not capable. So there's absolutely nothing wrong if the people do that and pursue. Political interest is not different from pursuing national interest. The political interest we have is pursuing programs and policies that will lead to the improvement of the quality of life of the people. So it's not mutually exclusive. And by so doing, well, again, it goes back to my first answer. The desire to serve is to be of service to the motherland. And therefore, it's natural. People go to church or go to the mosque to thank God for being given positions. But I want to believe that they do that there because to ask God for the spiritual help to pursue the new positions they have. It's not because they do that and then others also will celebrate. Well, for some reason they have an opportunity to serve. And if you are saying that maybe others who aspire to those positions did not get it may feel offended. And so you want us to offer general advice that people should be measured in the celebration. I don't think we should have a problem with that. And I will associate myself with that. If that is, you have reason to believe that that is the case, yes, that will do that. Mr. President, Mr. Minister, delay in announcement of the MMDC delay. No, I don't think so. We all belong to constituencies. And this is for that matter. I'm a member of parliament. There are members of parliament here. Nobody can say that because MMDCs were acting, development delayed. No, they have been working. And again, let me take this opportunity, Mr. Minister. I think we all, and we promise to hold, especially after this confirmation process, workshop meeting. Well, let us all get ourselves engrossed in the Local Governance Act 2016 so that we'll understand what happens at the local assemblies. The MDC is just one person. So the powers of the presiding member, the role of the district assembly, the executive committee of the district assembly, and the other committees that exist. There are development planning, there are social services, there are West Committee, Justice and Security, Finance and Administration. The chairperson of these subcommittees have so many roles to play. So please, it's not only the DC. There are so many committees, functions of the planning unit, of the district assemblies. There are a lot of things that people and then honorable members who belong to committees and the staff have to do in our local government area. And I think many of us will have to try to understand what the Act says. And we promise to do that. We will hold workshops and we do a lot of orientation, not only for the new MMD, but for all of us, especially our friends in the media, so that we can hold people accountable afterward. Because it looks as if the attention is only in the district chief executive. But there are many other state actors in the district assembly who have a lot to do. We should have to question people, why is it that the West Committee, they have not done ABC? The Justice and Peace Committee, why haven't they done this? The people will have to answer to these things. If you meet an assembly member, ask him or her which of the committees he serves. we all normally know about the parliamentary committees, but there are committees also in the National Assembly. So these are things that all of us will have to bring ourselves to study and learn so that we can hold people who serve in the assemblies accountable, not only the district chief executive. Thank you, Mr. Minister.
Thank you,
I think we have
Minister. I'll take a final batch of questions at this stage. And Minister, I'm informed that the list of the 16 regions has now been updated on the Ministry of Information's Facebook page. So for those who want to access the list on the Ministry of Information's Facebook page, it has been updated currently. I'll take a final batch of questions and then we'll wrap up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll go to the back. Yes.
Mansa Musa Esquire. Please, I want to know if there are guidelines, rules, and regulations to the rest, for residents to know how they can petition your ministry on the rule of MMDCEs.
Come again?
Like, I want to know if there are guidelines or rules on how we, the residents, can petition the Ministry of Local Government on the performances of MMDCEs.
How do citizens give feedback on the work of MMDCs?
Yes. Yes.
Is it to the assembly itself or to central government?
No, to the local government ministry.
Okay, so
and
Minister,
also, second one, are there plans to empower the NCCE to enlighten the residents or populace about the act of the local government?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Minister, so the question is, what is the best place and how do you give feedback on the performance of your MMDC? What's the best channel to give feedback on the performance of your MMDC? No, there are some questions here. I want to wrap up here, then I'll come here. Yes, you.
My name is Obed. I report for GH1 Television.
Please speak up. Your name is?
Obed. I report for GH1 TV.
Okay.
Mr. Minister, you gave the figure 38 as the number of females nominated. Upon simple calculation I did, that's representing about 14.6% of the total. Some civil organizations are calling for 30% at least. Don't you think this falls short of that 30%? Thank you.
Very well. Thank you. Sarah, I'll give you a last bite before I come to the right. Quickly.
Minister, please, a follow-up to my question regarding the tension that is brewing. Yesterday, the police arrested 4 persons at Ododo for disturbing public peace. When you answered my question, you said if you are not given the opportunity to serve, there shouldn't be any problem. But this hasn't got anything to do with the MMDCEs appointed. It's their supporters. So are we saying that maybe 3 districts out of the 260, if we are having any agitations, it shouldn't be significant enough to pick intelligence and curtail any further ones?
Sarah, please come with that question again. What's the question? What's the crux of the question?
Okay, so 4 persons were arrested yesterday at Ododo. They were supporters of Honorable Nia Jesoa.
Yes.
Now, my question is that this morning we've had another press conference in some part of the northern region where supporters of some supposed persons they were expecting to be on the list, which they are asking the president to review. I asked the minister, have we picked intelligence on this, brewing tension that is likely to come up after the list have been released? And what would government be doing about it? His answer was with respect to the persons going to serve. But my concern is their supporters are those who are causing the tension in town. What will government do about it?
Thank you. Let me come to this side and take the final batch of questions. There's a gentleman at the back. Quickly, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Kester Abraham Kanchi. I write for the Daily Graphic. Please, I wanted to know if your views on Act 455, that's on the District Assembly Common Fund, and the fact that we give 5% of it to MPs, ostensibly for development. I want to find out from you if you think Act 455 supports that disbursement, and if you think it is not it is not against the Constitution. If you think that disbursement is unconstitutional or not, because I think that it is unconstitutional by reading Act 455 very well.
Act what?
Act 455.
Which is?
District Assembly Common Fund Act.
Okay, the DACF Act. Okay, yeah.
That's my first question.
Your
I
second
wanted
question?
to know if you would take this up in Parliament to have the nominee sign a performance contract with the government so that we know that, okay, I've been nominated to be in this assembly and this district, we have palm oil. So I am going to develop this and that, and we get some targets.
Understood.
Thank you.
Understood. Yeah. Saboba, very quickly, what is the question?
Minister, my guesses are that
Your what?
My guesses.
Your guess?
Yes.
We're not doing
that
guesses
some
here.
of
What's
the-
your question?
Okay, my question goes as some of the MMDCs retained or being appointed, I am learning that they are not from the orphan constituencies. I want to find out
Have you
from
seen
the
the
minister.
list?
I've not seen the list, but per what?
Then let's not operate on these assumptions. See the list, ask a question that is based on something that has been researched, then we can go. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Minister, Medindi Isaac Otin to me TV. Minister, question here me no. And first one no, yenim say first time na etwa mu no. Ono manfo dodo na di nkoma na bi susu say abankrachi from penifo na power no mention who do be modern more form. Ofam yenu ye pesi ehu say apart from some brand share mampani say e wo say oyi safo no. Committee no enyina so be na mugina ya asa ankrofo a na emu do omamman comment na hudu no mugina so efa camera eboye ho ban na second so ye fa dwumadi ni life na omanfo message bi omde ba no say nka mention akese no nka omosre minister say omo ba ko mienu bi na omakoma nto omo yam
Sir, I can list ni now Ministry of Information
Facebook
Facebook
omo
page
say
or-
omo ntimi nko
Ni
omo
now
ni
or- Yanko next
internet
question.
ni
Yanko next question. Yes, sir.
Yes, Minister, me were two questions from Kesbe Media. And some of the listed in Neno. At the TV, what she said, be more home and converting our region. Omamba, the Amoya or national, but Omudiaba, even though Minyanko details who say no credit, and the business minister say no credit, no credit. Say, Oman pass it through vetting processes now. How come?
Yeah, the question never come back on home.
Okay. My last question here.
Minister, yeah.
In himself mandate of every MMDC 4 years per the constitution and I'm rano. But most of them no you appoint you latter part of be a president take you over no 4 years in India. Year renomination no will they still go through the confirmation processes and the mremo no more rebate be a ombetimi akosho omodwumase.
Okay, yeah, that's it. So, Minister, Maminko through questions nibium na. Yes, so there were last but two questions. I had the corner. Obi Bisa say performance a formal part of the criteria for nominating and Obi Bisa say yes a committee yes a vetting near there. I'm a question Nankasa say are there any president criteria for nominating? Is it that or say some name maybe meeting and I say to me no what president say obe nominate obia osusun say obe to me asom no ewo ho. Nti sa two questions near there no ni na be na there back no so criteria or mampeni ehweso year this nomination. Another question, obia nebeko approval process ni mo ana say omo aye bia ni 4 years nso ye no ono so ehia so beko approval ana say onko. There's a question about your personal view on the fact that members of parliament can instruct for 5% of the DACF to be utilized for specific projects. Do you think that that should continue or that should be abolished? That members of parliament should not have power to instruct for about 5% of the DACF to be used for particular projects. There's another question on whether or not you are considering performance contracts with the chief executives so that they are bound by some performance contracts. If you take those who are in the state-owned enterprises, they sign performance contracts. Are you contemplating extending this to chief executives of assemblies as well? For those who advocate that at least about 30% of all appointments must go to, at least 30% must go to females, what do you make of a potential criticism that therefore this will fall short of their 30%? Sarah repeats her question whether or not there's an intelligence and security exercise ongoing to avoid any negative activities across the country. And then there's a very first question about what is the best way to channel feedback on the performance of MMDCs. Minister, we're on your hands for this last batch of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Sabe, to start from the last one. Again, even before here, my interaction with many people has reinforced my belief that we should do a lot of education. And I agree with the suggestion that if we have to combine with the efforts of NCC, so be it, and we'll do it. In Act 936, Section 26 has a whole section on Public Relations and Complaints Committee. I may want to read Section 26. A district assembly shall have a Public Relations and Complaints Committee consisting of the presiding member who shall be the chairperson, 5 members of the district assembly elected by the members of the district assembly, a representative each of the district offices of the following. 1. National Commission for Civic Education. 2. Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice. 3. Information Service Department. And 4. Civil society organizations in the district selected by the civil society organizations. 2. A person appointed under subparagraph 4 of paragraph 5 of subsection 1 shall not have voting rights. Then it goes to list the functions of the Public Relations and Complaints Committee. And it's about the whole page, about the functions of the Public Relations Committee. So, yes, I agree with you that we will combine with the NCC, but already, as I've just read to you, NCC is part of the Public Relations and Complaints Committee. And again, in Section 43, let me read to you again, Mr. Minister. Right of stakeholders to petition. District level stakeholders may petition the district assembly on any matter for which the district assembly is responsible. The petition shall be made in writing or orally to the secretary to the district assembly. A district assembly shall make a bylaw on the procedure for the petition. Then it goes on to talk about Section 44, duty of district assembly or respond to the petition of stakeholders. District chief executive to report on participation. So please, in Act 936, very comprehensive, and it takes care of many of these things that we talked about. And I've already said it, we shall certainly engage the society, especially through the media, so that we are very well educated on Act 936. 30% of women, well, yes.
30% of nominees.
Nominees should be women. That's the expectation of some people. Is that not the case?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the expectation of some people, and they think that this may not meet their expectations. So that is it. I mean, it's something that we all work towards to make sure that we represent increased representation of women in various spheres of endeavor. So I think it's something that we all continue to work at. The question comes back again on the violence. With the greatest of respect, madam, this is an exercise about nomination of metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executive. And you are saying that we are reason to believe that some people are unhappy, there are tension, and there will be some violence. When such situations occur, there are people who deal with those who behave disorderly in the country. It doesn't mean that because it's about MMDCs, we should deal with that. No. Just as if there are land disputes, we don't say that there are land disputes, therefore Minister of Lands go and deal with it. The police, those who are entrusted with making sure that there's orderly conduct in society, they will handle it. At times, there are tension and disputes, even in homes. And we do not say that some people should take care. Once any act or behavior that you put out go are contrary to law, decent behavior, the necessary state institutions, and for that matter, the police will deal with it. And I'm sure the intelligence and security people in the country, ministries in the country, and other departments are very well aware of the situation, and I want to believe that they are on top of it. The DACF and MPs 50%. Well, I'm sure we shall have more time when we have started with these MMDCs. And maybe I can now see there are a lot of interest on the work of the ministry, and for that matter, the decentralization in the local governance process. And it's very much important, and I'm very happy about that. So these are things that we will meet and have more discussions on that. We can organize seminars, we shall have a forum to discuss some of these things. People believe that even the 5% is not enough for the MPs, and that it should be increased. In other dispensations, it's increased, and the MPs do account for it. So there's a school of thought that, yes, the 5% even should be increased, and that we should not cancel it. So it's a question of where one stands on the issue. But I can confirm that members of parliament, when they receive the MP share of common fund, they really make good use of it. But of course, it's subject to the citizens to try to make a survey in view of assessing whether when MPs will receive this 5%, we make good use of it or not. But I know we do. And I think there's basis for even to increase it instead of cancelling it. There's this issue of signing performance contract. Well, these are president's nominees, and when they finish, it will be this is the president who directs us to issue appointment letters to them. I can see the head of local governance service here. He is very well experienced. He's been a DC before, he's been a regional minister before. He's the head of local government studies. And it's a welcome suggestion. If upon further discussion it's necessary to do that. Anything that will be done to make sure that people who have been given positions of trust live up to it will be done. Will be done. Yes. In my personal view, whether they sign performance agreement or not, contracts or not, if you have been nominated as MDC, and if by the grace of God you are approved by the assembly and Mr. President appoints you, you know why you wanted to be DC, and those of us who have been put in positions or try to ensure that they perform their functions, I can assure you they will perform their functions. And the functions of the DC and the assembly are very well articulated in Act 196. Mr. Minister, I'm not so sure whether I should switch to tree because
yes,
those
please.
other
Yes, please, because those platforms are covering us in tree.
Message of say, Constitution American, Emma Omanpanyi to me say, on appointed MDCs. There too many can say, Constitution, and Act 196 say, Omanpanyi ebeyi MDCs. The Constitution kaya emrabien who be ma minim efa se ehye omampanyi se onfa ekwan bi so ansan wa yiwom emrabien ni ho sa minim se de omampanyi appoint ye mu bi ejina as minister say obi anko bi se omampanyi se unya futuo firi hefa na de na obi tuufo se fa minister A fa minister B one fa down far away obi amisa sa esa pepepe enete omampanyi se oti committee bi so mumwa me na me hwe se me hu obi e yoman panyin na nkasa e na ope bi se bia o me fa kwan wi so na ma hwe nipa na ma gege sebe enkofo adwene wo ho na me dia take me decision. Once the decision is taken by yoman panyin e yoman panyin decision, committee bia asem emamu bi, committee bia asem emamu bi e yoman panyin na pa wo mo enti the question say obi echo vetting no obi anko vetting me pacho emre bia ni be bia e ka vetting asem emre bia ni be bia e ka vetting bia asem fa vetting wa de wo ma so be fe the vetting kura ni say aba ye ko to omo wo assembly ho no say ye be to ama wana se ye ntoma omo e ho obenya two tests no omo a ehie to aba no eno ho asem na say ye be appoint no de omo panyin pa obepa ka chen ko so mo hwe se mo benya obi a senti a memfa no ana se mo nya bobo na mo hwe ne ho asem na mo nka nkere me se omampanyi gisa futuo na e omampanyi futuo wuti ko bi so bia se wona atu omampanyi fu sei ana committee na wa ma vetting ana wa ma sei debi emra bia nkere se ese wo vetting ase omampanyi o appoint o emra bia ni ho sa ti me papcho mama yente enwa asiye pa once omampanyi abodin tumi no e omampanyi ho na mama yɛmfa ɛno ɛnyɛ adwuma ɛm sɛ ɛno ne main one a ɛba free tree na ɛno nso we have dealt with it ɛdin ne deɛ ɛm sɛ ɛna ɛwɔ hɔ no ɛm sɛ mmoa nsɛntwerɛfoɔ no yɛahwɛ a bɛyɛ bosome ni wɔ hɔ a yɛsɛ yɛ list bi aba wɔ hɔ a yɛsɛ list bi aba bebree yɛmu bi wɔ hɔ a wɔbɛhwɛ menkasa a wɔn list bi aho da ɛnɛ ne first time a mekasa list na mekasa on behalf of ɔmanpanyin nti maba na mede ɔmanpanyin file yɛakyerɛw na maka sɛ Minister of Information koraa no na ohun list no yɛduru ha pɛ na ɔsɛ yɛnkɔ soro koraa ansa na yɛnkɔ scan deɛ ohun sisi yɛyɛ pɛ na yɛsi fam baa eti wobɛhwɛ nso a baabi wɔ ha wo sɛ wahu saa deɛ ɛne yɛ green pen ne yɛ deɛ ɔmanpanyin na initial page no nti obiara ntumi mfa biribiara nkɔhyɛ nti ɛnnɛ ɛde abɛyi a ɛda Minister of Information wei ɛna mo nso ebinom ntumi nhu a ɛnso ɔmo kan mo papers ɔmo kan wei nso na mo kasa wɔ radio so a ɔmo tie nti ɛnɛ ne yɛ womfiri ankoyi na sɛ wagye wei afi Minister of Information a na ɔka wɔ radio so a ɛyɛ authentic but mo ma mfa ntoto wiem sɛ ɔmanpanyin de krataa wei maa me no mafrɛ all the 16 regional ministers o sɛ ɛyɛ region by region ɔmo de hwɛ regional community council no so DC foɔ no bɛyɛ adwuma no nyinaa by act na ɔmo nyinaa ka RCC ɔmo hyɛ ɔmo ase nti regional coordinating council ɛyɛ ɔmo ɛda no ɛyɛ regional ministers ɔmo nso ɔmo sa asa aka list yi nti ɔmo na ɔmo bɛhwɛ ɛkwan yɛbɛfa so na assemblies no letter commission no bɛhyia na processes na yɛbɛ confirm mo no yɛbɛgu so a yɛbɛyɛ.
Minister, yɛdase ɛne ɛberɛ a wanya na tɛsi ɔmanpanin ɛte gu w'anum no wode aba bɛtɔ abɔnten ma nyinaa yɛate mpakyɛw moma yɛmfa nsɛmbɔ ɛnda minister sisa berɛ ɔkɔ akɔtena ase. Honorable Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Honorable Dankweku Botwe, we are grateful for your time and for the brief that you have shared with us. As the Honorable Minister mentioned, and as you are seeing on the screens, the scanned version of the President's nominations with the President's initials on them have been uploaded on the Ministry of Information's Facebook page. Please help us by letting the country and the various regions know the details as have been nominated out. The Honorable Minister, many thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Resume your seats. For those who may want some hard copies as well, I suspect they'll make some photocopies available as you are exiting. Just want to make a quick comment. Words are important. So there was a question that MPs are giving 5%. In fact, DCs are not giving 95%. Minister, right? DCs are not giving 95%. There's a district assembly's common fund. 95% of it is under the instruction of the planning committee and all of the officials in the district as led by the chief executive. It's not given to him. And then there's 5%, which is also available for the member of parliament to instruct its usage. It's not given to him. So he or she would ask the assembly that there's this intervention in this particular town or village. Can you use that 5% that is under my instruction to fulfill this intervention? So I think words are important. It's important we frame it properly, else somebody would think that 95% of the common fund is given to the chief executive and 5% is given to the MPs. So it's important we clarify that. Colleagues, I want to thank you for your time and wish you all the best. Thank you.